All right, everyone. Hope you've ordered your food from Casper's. It's a wonderful place that they let us use this room. We've used this for so many functions, and they are just fantastic. I'm Jeff Schutte, everyone, former chair of SD 51. Thank you so much for coming. This is wonderful that we have a turnout like this for a House 51A run. Brad Gerten running for House 51A. And we're so excited. We've got a great candidate to do that. Okay, just a couple quick things. Becky and Megan are our two waitresses. Round of applause for them. There's menus on. If you need drinks or food, just go ahead and order. And we get to use the room for free. Did I mention that? Yeah, I know. It's tough to find a place to have these events. Okay, first and foremost, I'm going to have Pat Hammond stand up, please. Where are you, Pat? There he is. He is running on our B side, 51B. It's a team, as you know. We organize by BPOU, which means all of 51. So, for running for Senate, Victor, please stand up. You want to tell us how's the campaign going?
It's going great. It's going awesome. We got a great group of volunteers who are fired up. As you can see, I'm in my working uniform and just came back from door knocking. The people of this district are great people, and we got to take some of these seats back. I mean, we're represented by three liberal Democrats, and that's not okay. So we're working hard, and I know Brad will work as hard. He's a hard-working guy. We'll hit all the doors in this district. We'll bring our message of hope to people. We'll tell them about Carlson and Mason and Halverson, and I think we're going to do very good this November. So thank you for coming out, supporting Brad, supporting my campaign, and I'm glad to see some new faces here. Have a great night.
Thanks, Victor. Okay, when we were organizing this thing, this fundraiser, and this is our first real event, first big event, there was a little bit of a kickoff just to get started. I think in this same room, right? It was right here. And unfortunately, there were scheduling things. Everybody was announcing their candidacy right at the same time, it seemed like. And so we really didn't have a good start to the first event, so we thought we better get a good fundraiser going right away. This is a winnable district. We have won it before. Everyone knows that. Mason's been beaten by Diane Anderson. Gail's here, by the way. That's Diane's husband. And, you know, we own this seat for a few cycles. And so it can be done again. And I know Brad's going to be good at it. I think he's really getting it. He's catching on to the whole system and what we have to do. And so when we first set this thing up, we kind of looked around and said, okay, so who are the Republicans near us? Well, you got to go south. Right now, you got to go south. And just south of us is District 58A. That's Representative John Kosnick. And he is a House rep from, I think it's not Lakeville, right? It is Lakeville. I thought it was. Anyway, just want to make sure. I wasn't 100% sure. I had to make sure. He's on the Property Tax Local Government Finance Division Committee. He's on the Taxes Committee. He's on the Transportation Policy and Finance Committee. Transportation's been talked about a lot, so it'll be interesting to see what John has to say about that real quickly. So I'm going to bring him right up right now. Come on up and give us a few words.
Thank you for having me here. We're going to work hard to get Brad elected here, and it's exciting to have, as a first-term freshman running for my first re-election, to see some new people and being willing to step up like we did a year ago. And we are all behind you, and we're excited to have all of you here helping him out. My background was, I actually used to live in Eagan here, as I mentioned to a couple of you. I was represented by Tim Wilkin, and we moved down to Lakeville. I had some family down there, and I remained active. I started to help Tim here a little bit, and then we remained active when I went to Lakeville and helped Representative Holberg for quite a while, helped Senator Thompson, and last year, or last cycle, Representative Holberg decided she would go on to the Dakota County Commissioners, and there was an open seat there, and I was active in the community for about 15 years and decided to step up to run. So it's an exciting time for you, Brad, and we're here to wish you the best. It's a unique opportunity, and it's quite an honor to represent a number of people in your district. And living here in Eagan, you guys have a wonderful group of people here to represent. As far as, I guess we've got a couple other speakers, so I won't go into exactly some of why I came in here, but the first term, as you talked about transportation, I was one of the topic areas that I think is important to our districts, as we have constituents that do quite a bit of driving, probably to the core cities to work and to get around town and take care of our kids, go into their busy activities. So I asked to be on the transportation committee. Somehow I also ended up on the taxes committee and also the property tax committee. I was asked to be on that one by the chair of that committee. So great opportunities to learn how the legislative process works, but also that a lot of the bills end up coming through the tax committee. But one of the bills that was brought to my attention that I'll share with you tonight without getting into too much policy is the motor vehicle lease tax. And in terms of transportation, if you've been following it, we as a House Republican caucus put together a transportation plan that used existing revenues that the state already has and dedicated those towards transportation purposes. So it was the motor vehicle car rental, the lease tax, and I can't remember the other one right now. And car repairs. But the lease taxes came in back in the last time they actually raised the gas tax. It was part of a kind of a deal that they had brokered to get enough votes for people to increase the last sales tax. And at that time, people weren't really leasing vehicles like they do now as much. And so they said, here, some suburban counties will give you the revenue from motor vehicle leasing. So if you buy a car, you pay a sales tax. If you lease a car, they started taxing the lease. So that tax on the leased vehicles would be spread out among the collar counties, we call them, Anoka, Washington, Dakota County, Scott County, and Carver County. And so the revenue generated from that would be spread out for those counties, and then the other and half of the revenue would go to greater Minnesota. But they kind of made a little hiccup in there. It sounds really good, but then they decided to take the first $32 million that lease tax generates, goes into the general revenue for general spending. So at that time it wasn't generating a lot of money beyond that. So we'll give you that tax money, but it wasn't generating much at that time. Got it? So really it goes into general fund at the time. Well, leasing vehicles has become more popular, and now it generates about $77 million. And I introduced a bill, and it was part of our House transportation plan, that the proceeds from that bill would be split evenly among the collar counties. So it would go to Dakota County, those counties I mentioned, and then the other half would go to Greater Minnesota Transit for their busing services and some of the different regional centers. And so for Dakota County here, that would be about an extra $5 million a year. The dollars are allocated by population size of the county, and so to Dakota County would be about another $5 billion a year, $10 million annually, more every biennium. So that was an important concept that we fought for. The representatives here actually co-sponsored the bill with me, and so your opponent didn't support that. So and neither did Victor's opponent. He was very against it. Sandra was on the transportation committee, and she can answer to you why she didn't support that.
You won't answer for her.
No, you can ask her yourself. But so the main thing is that Republicans realize that we need to live within our means and use existing revenues. And if transportation really is a priority, we had a plan to do that. And it ended up as, if you followed the end of session, came kind of close. However, then they decided to stick it to the Metro again and maybe offer a Metro-wide transit tax. And we fought against that, decided that probably, if we were proud to say that the gas tax wasn't a good idea, why would a sales tax be a good idea? So we're going to continue to have the conversation about transportation and continue to work to providing a good long-term solution to transportation with existing revenues, hopefully. There was a couple, compromises with lease tabs increases, and there's some arguments why maybe that was a little bit plausible. Cars are lasting longer on the road. So we're going to continue to work on that, but you need to remember that we did do our job at the legislature to put together a transportation plan, and we, even in the absence of a long-term plan, we had a $700 billion transportation plan that was wrapped into the bonding bill, and so we're proud of the work that we did. So just a little advice to Brad and to you to continue to support him. Give as much as you can. Don't give until it hurts. Give until it feels good. I'm sure David says. So, but more importantly, as a first-time candidate, and now we're in the heat of campaign season, dedicate a couple hours, 1 hour a week for the next till election time. You're building the seeds that will eventually knock out an incumbent like Sandra Mason or whoever else. And I know we've got some local candidates here. You need to build those grassroots and those seeds, and got to commend and stand behind somebody that's willing to sacrifice. And his wife is here. Thank you. Thank you for letting them run. So support these people, and thank you for being here and taking the first step to support them.
Thanks, John. It's so true. It's always a sacrifice. In fact, one time I got asked to run. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but a couple times I've been asked.
Only once?
Yeah, maybe. And I went to Tammy a couple times saying, yeah, you think I should run? No. All right. I mean, that's the first primary, right, is your wife. That's what they always say. So anyways, and actually, I know how much work it is, Brad and Tony and Anna and everybody. I know how much work it is, and so we really commend you guys for running and doing this. It's just unbelievable. Especially when a lot of times it looks like the Democrats just control certain areas. It's really tough. But I think the harder we work, the better the outcomes will be. Okay, Representative Anna Wills, 57B, just south of us. She's on the Education Finance, the Education Innovation Policy, the Legacy Funding Committee, which I know about. That's the one that goes, the legacy money from our, let's see, it was a, what am I thinking of?
The money that's misdirected to build bike trails.
That's right, that's it, that was the one. And you're on the tax report, right? So, she's going to come and say a few words for us. Thanks, Anna.
It was my tag along, Gideon. He's my firstborn, so he tagged along with me at the Capitol as well. He was born right before session started. So I've been serving in the legislature for 4 years, 2 terms now. So I've had the honor, as Jeff said, to work on some very important issues as far as education and tax committee. And I have to say that, John kind of talked about this a little bit. Getting the support of your family, your friends, and everyone to help you run a campaign is absolutely critical. There's no way you can run for election, you can serve in office without that support. It's not a one-person job. You need that support team. So thank you to everyone who's out here tonight to help with that. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, ways that you guys can help out. I wanted to give just a brief update on a couple things that happened this session, and I'll just pick up where John left off. We had a great transportation proposal, and we were able to pass a bonding bill off of the House floor. And you may have heard in the media that when it was sent over to the Senate, they decided to add an amendment that funded Southwest Light Rail. And because that changed the language in the bill, we were not able to actually get the bill passed. We have to pass identical language in both bodies. We had adjourned because it was right up against the clock and we were done with our work. And the Senate was stuck with having to decide whether they were going to take that amendment off or let the bill die, and they chose to let the bill die. So that's why we were not able to get that passed. The governor has yet to call a special session to get that passed, and he's been in negotiations with leadership from both the House and the Senate. And I have the sense that the longer we wait, the less likely it is that it's going to happen, and it's just going to have to be something we're going to deal with in the next session. Same thing with our tax bill. We had a very comprehensive tax relief bill this session that would have provided about $800 million in tax relief over the next, I think it would have been for this year and the next biennium, so about 3 years. And a lot of great tax credits in there for child tax credit, tenant care tax credit, some different ag tax credits to help farmers out in the rural areas. We had a tax credit for investments into 529 college savings plans. That was a bill that I had authored. And we had some federal tax conformity that would help make your Minnesota taxes more in line with what's happening at the federal level, to make it much easier just for filing your taxes, and would have given tax relief to Minnesotans in a variety of different ways. One of them was, I think, a property tax issue. I've already been hearing from constituents who are running into problems because we did not get that passed. Well, we got it passed. The governor decided to veto it. He found what he saw as two problems in there. There was a charitable gambling provision that the language wasn't drafted exactly correctly, so it was off by about $100 million. And then also, he wanted to have a tax exemption extended for the Minnesota High School League, for their athletics organization. And we at the House Republicans agreed to make those changes, those corrections, which we believe could have been done even without a special session, but he decided to still veto the bill anyways. So the most frustrating part about that was that initially he had said that he would not hold up tax relief contingent on what he decided to do regarding the bonding bill, and he didn't hold up his end of the bargain, and so now we're stuck waiting to see what he's going to do. So that was kind of the top two issues that that people have been hearing about in the news, and so I was proud we were able to get that work done and get it passed. Dealing with a Democrat governor does not make it easy, and certainly we were able to get some good things done that you don't hear about as much in the news. We were able to pass a tax exemption for the military on their pension pay. We are one of few states that was not providing that tax exemption, and we were trying to find a way to encourage the military to stay here in Minnesota, because a lot of them, when they retire from the military, are still young and still want to get out and find a private sector job, and we want to encourage them to get that job here in Minnesota and raise their families here. So we were able to get that passed in our supplemental budget bill, and we were able to pass some good legislation for education, a variety of different things to help with teachers dealing with students who have behavior issues. More and more teachers are dealing with students who are disrupting the classroom, shall we say. And that can stem from a variety of different challenges and issues, problems at home, whatever it might be. But teachers were feeling like their hands were tied because they were not allowed to do anything to deal with it. And so we passed legislation just to simply allow the teachers to take those students out of the classroom when they're disrupting the classroom. Seems like a simple thing that they should already be allowed to do, but we were able to get that done. And then we passed legislation to do a task force for evaluating how we deal with discipline in the schools, just because it's such an escalating issue, and bringing together stakeholders as far as teachers and parents and special education advocates and mental health advocates, and trying to look at that and what can we do in the schools to help the students have a healthy environment to learn and to deal with discipline appropriately. And it's been a little bit of a controversial issue, so I'm glad we were able to get that passed so we can actually dig down into that issue, and we'll be making recommendations for legislation in the future. We were able to pass additional funding in education. And last year we had $525 million more in our education bill than we were projected to spend, which was $1.4 billion more than the previous biennium, which sounds like a lot of money because it is. Education is about half of our state budget. It's one of the largest portions. The other large portion that's almost half is the healthcare area, which I don't serve on those committees, so I'm hoping Representative Albright might touch on that. But we prioritized education and putting those funds to areas that we felt were going to help the students and the teachers the best. Most of that money went to a 2% increase on the per pupil funding formula, which allows the most flexibilities for the schools to use that funding. We trust the schools, the teachers and the school districts at the local level to do what's best for their school district, because school districts are so different across the state, and we don't want to at the state level be dictating or over dictating how they disperse those funds, because they know what's best for educating those kids along with the parents. So, and part of that funding was also historic investments in early childhood, trying to make sure we were targeting funding for preschool programs. The governor has been pushing for universal preschool, and we have heard from schools across the state that they don't want that. They don't have the space for it, they don't have the resources for it, and even if we passed some funding at the state level, it would not be sufficient for them to be able to put that into practice. And also we heard from child care providers, places like New Horizons just down the street, that it would put them out of business if we put in a program like that and had government completely take over education at the early education level. So we were trying to find a solution that would help families that couldn't afford to send their kids to a program like that. So we did the early childhood scholarships to help families with those costs. And from what we've been hearing across the state, that's a much more effective way to reach those students. So that's a very high level cover of some of the issues that I felt were priorities and areas that we were able to get some things accomplished. And I'll stick around for a little bit afterwards, so if anyone has any specific questions, feel free to let me know. But I just want to challenge each one of you to make sure that you are donating tonight. I appreciate that you're here donating your time, but putting in a check goes a long way. Early money is worth twice as much, and this is when Brad really needs the funds to be able to pay for mailers, lit, t-shirts, what else? Signs are very expensive, but we got to get his name out there, and putting up those signs throughout the district is critical. So he's going to need people to help put up the signs. He's going to need people to march in the parades with him, and he's going to need people to go door to door with him. For a house district, you probably knock on approximately 12,000 doors, and you could try to do it all yourself, but you really need help. So Brad's going to be out there, I'm sure, every day as soon as his lit gets here, right? Getting designed right now, printed. And he just needs your support going out to the doors. You going to your neighbors and saying, hey, Brad's a great guy. He's going to work hard for us. He's going to keep an eye on what's happening with your tax dollars. And then that can mean a lot coming from a neighbor, speaking on behalf of the candidate. And so get out there and help door knock and lit drop, sign up, and if nothing else, it's moral support for Brad to feel like he's not alone. It's a long campaign season. We still have several months to go, and the summer's going to be hot and exhausting. I'm just being realistic. And so the more you guys can do to help him out, even if it's just a couple hours a week, please do it. So thank you so much, and hope you guys are excited to help him win this November. Thank you.
Thanks to both of them. You know, just a real fun, quick story about Anna. You know, when I was chair of 51, we had an event once a month called Pints and Politics. And this was something that Mike Case, the previous chair, kind of delved onto me and said, yeah, you got to keep doing that. So I'd put together the Pints and Politics, and he would always have a speaker. Well, I called Anna up, and she had just been elected. It was kind of fun, and she came to our Pints and Politics, graciously came over and talked to us about the Legacy Amendment and how her and Phyllis Kahn were on the same committee at the same time. So it was kind of a fun story to hear. And, you know, we're all like glued to these stories when we hear it from legislators, all of us that are really into politics, as you know. But the last thing I want to say about Anna is, thanks, Anna. I got 2 new 529s. I'm a financial guy, right? And we had really trouble writing these 529s because you had to do it in Minnesota. And now that's been changed. You can open a 529 from any mutual fund now, which you couldn't do before. Thank you for that legislative move, and it really helps. And it helps anybody, you know, with choice. They can choose whatever they want to do instead of sticking to one company, which was really dumb. I think the state was getting part of those kickbacks or something. I don't know what it was. But so that was great. Thanks, Anna, for doing that. Okay, last but not least, kind of a late show up. We weren't sure if you were coming, Tony. But I've been talking to Tony a few times recently here on the Jason Lewis, campaign trail, and we have fun at some of those events. But Tony's kind of a man of my own heart, being from the farm country. I grew up in Sibley County, so him and I kind of know the farm issues a little bit, even though now I'm a city kid. But Tony's a kind of a muckety-muck down there. He's on the he's a vice chair of the Ways and Means. He's on health, rules, capital investment, state finance, subcommittee on the Met Council. Wow, that's a hot topic right now. Yeah.
Yeah, why are they still there?
So hopefully we won't have that subcommittee soon. It'll just be gone. I don't know. Okay, come on up, Tony. Tell us what's going on.
I don't know if you need a mic up here or not. I do tend to talk fairly loud. Maybe that's just my nature. First and foremost, thank you for coming out tonight. As a two-termer, I can recall very vividly running for office the first time, and I know exactly what is going through Brad's mind right now. What have I done to myself? More importantly, what have I done to my family? And to that, Brad, hats off, because public service is not something that is chosen and put upon you. It's a calling. And we're each called to it for very specific reasons. The reason that I felt the calling to serve my state in the capacity that I do is because of my grandfather. Immigrated from Norway when he was 16. Was actually a county commissioner down in Freeborn County. Raised 7 kids, one of whom is my mom. Has 47 grandchildren, about 25 or so are boys. And so about twice a month, we'd all get together at the farm, and he would impart wisdom to us through very practical ways. And so one of the pieces of advice that he shared with all of the boys at the time was that, you need to go out and you need to pay back. You need to pay it forward. And he was remarking from the standpoint of that this country has been very good to him, and we need to make sure that the opportunities that were afforded him are given opportunity to us as well as our generations to come. So to Brad, to Anna, to John, and to myself, and to the senatorial candidates, this is what it's all about. This is what we struggle with at the legislature on a daily basis. There are 2 sides to every, at least 2 sides to every argument at the Capitol. We believe that we're sincere, and we believe that they're wrong. But it really does come down to the freedoms that are adjudicated in the Constitution. It really does come down to that you know better than anyone else how to raise your family, how to spend your paycheck, and how you'd like your communities and your state to be run to the best efforts with as little government intrusion as possible. So in my capacity on the various committees that I serve, I don't know if I'm exactly muckety-muck, but I do get involved in some of the the larger decisions that go on at the Capitol. I was on the conference committee for the bonding bill that was passed off the House floor and was sent over to the Senate at 11:47 on the last night of session. And it fell flat with an amendment that was jimmied onto the bill with about 8 minutes left in the session before they had to adjourn sine die. This is about politics, folks, and this is about control. It's not just about control of the House or the Senate, but it is about control about your paycheck and about the revenue that comes into the state of Minnesota. When you consider that an all-funds budget for the state of Minnesota is well north of 70-some billion dollars, that consumes not only the revenue that we send as individuals and as businesses to the state, but also the federal dollars and subsidies and programs that come into the state. We are well on pace to grow our government in a fashion that it will outpace the growth of your checkbooks. And that, to me, is a breach of the fiduciary responsibility that our government has promised to each one of us. And so with folks like Brad stepping up and being willing to put themselves on the line and enter the theater of debate about those very subjects, I congratulate him. I know it's a long haul. It's June, but the days will quickly go shorter. We're all already past the longest day for sun, and we can look towards some times when we wish we'd had longer days to get out and door knock. So my encouragement for all of you is that this is a seat that has been and will continue to be provided an opportunity to be served by a Republican. And I believe that Brad is that person for the next 2 years. We are here in mass as representatives from the House already to show our support and give our encouragement to him. And by your attendance here tonight, you're giving him the encouragement that he needs. So my homework assignment given to you for the next couple of weeks is to go out and just promise me to talk to 2 more people about Brad's candidacy and ask them to go and talk to 2 more people about his candidacy as well. It's a geometric progression, and if we do that, by the time that September rolls around, he won't have a problem knocking on doors without people not knowing his name. His candidacy has legs. That's why we're here. We want number 74 on the House checkerboard to make sure that we have that vote in our side of the tally when it comes time for the tough votes, and there will be some. So thank you all for coming. I'm happy to answer questions afterwards, but I think that we all came here not to listen to us, but we came here to listen to the next representative from the district, Brad Gerten.
Thanks, Tony. Tony's one of those guys that's kind of, a politician, magnanimous, and we want him on our team, obviously. So all these guys are all on our team, and it really makes our job easier when we're trying to get support when you've got the rest of the team helping you. So I'm amazed we got 3 representatives to come out and really help us. So it's really a big deal. So it's wonderful that they all came. Yeah. Okay. Brad wants to say a few words. Brad, go for it.
All right.
Thank you. I get very nervous when I speak. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it. Representative Kosnick, Representative Albright, Representative Wills. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you in January and being a part of the team, taking the team forward in a forward direction. Hopefully Victor and his colleagues will be able to take the majority in the Senate, so we have some true conservative representation in this state, because right now it's going in the wrong direction with Governor Dayton and his agenda. One thing I want to mention, Representative Albright mentioned to go out and tell a couple people about me. This is an unusual year. It only happens every 12 years in Minnesota, where we do not have a statewide candidate. So we don't have a governor or a Senate running, or no Franken, no Klobuchar, no Dayton. So the top of the ticket is just the presidential election. And I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but I think it's kind of polarizing on both sides of the ticket. And the top of the ticket might bring out people from each side, and it might just get people to stay home. And it's key that people get out and vote, because the presidential race, while important for our country, we have a lot more important races down ballot. We have the 2nd Congressional District race, where I'm assuming it's going to be Jason Lewis as the selected candidate after August, or the first week of August. We need to maintain that seat, retain that seat, keep that in the red, as well as turn some seats in this House district, as well as some other districts out in the metro area. Pick up those seats, flip them back. This used to be a conservative district. I still think it is, but it's a matter of us all working together and making sure we get the proper representation in St. Paul. Some of my big things, I just spoke with the Dakota County Area Chamber of Commerce this morning. They asked me a bunch of questions. Obviously, they're pro-business. I'm pro-business, but the reason I'm pro-business is because I'm pro-capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I believe that government does not create jobs. Okay? When any politician, no matter what, if they have a R or a D or DFL behind their name, nobody creates jobs unless they put somebody extra on their staff. Businesses create jobs, and it's our job, it's our duty as representatives to make that as easy as possible for anybody that wants to start a business, wants to move a business to Minnesota, or wants to expand a business here in Minnesota. Make that as easy as possible for them by eliminating regulations, and that's how jobs are going to be created. Met Council was mentioned as well. That needs to be reformed. Mentioning to, where's Dave? Dave Stiller. Dave, there you are, right in front of me. Dave's running for city council here in Egan. I was just talking to him earlier today about how the Vikings want to move their practice facility to the old Delta, or the old Northwest headquarters here in Egan. And I saw a newspaper article a week or so ago that they finally got approval from the Met Council to move forward on that.
Oh, yeah.
So the city of Egan has to go and get permission from a group of Met Council members that are only appointed by the governor. They're not elected. They're not accountable. They had to get permission from that group of people before they can move forward on redeveloping that space to make their own city a better place. So we need to reform that. Originally, when the 60s, when the Met Council was formed, it was for coordination of sewer and water between municipalities. That's what they need to go back to. So they've got their hands in everything, whether it's mass transit, and they're having studies being done on income inequality, that type of stuff. If you were to look at all the departments in the state of Minnesota, and you were to guess which one is in charge of doing studies on income inequality, I bet you the Met Council would not be in your top 10 of guesses of which department would be in charge of that. Let's talk about light rail. All right. I said it at the endorsing convention. I don't think everybody, maybe a couple people in here that were there, but I steal the line from George Herbert Walker Bush from when he was on the campaign trail running for re-election, or actually running for election from VP to president. But I say, no new trains. They are way too expensive. They do not carry as many people as a road can, and they can't be rerouted. Once the tracks are down, you're stuck. So I know that people want to build the trains and then hope businesses come to where the trains are, but we live in an area where we're not blocked by a coast. We're not blocked by a great lake. We are a metro area, 360 degrees around Minneapolis and St. Paul. People sprawl out, and we keep sprawling out. I always joke about how when I went to high school in Burnsville, teams like Farmington and Lakeville would be teams we just go down, right down the highway, 35, and we just beat them up. Easy wins every time. Well, because of that evil urban sprawl, it's tough for teams like that what were powerhouses 25, 30 years ago to compete with a Lakeville that now has 2 competitive high schools. In Farmington, that's just as competitive. People want to move out. They like their cars. And not everybody works in Minneapolis or St. Paul. I live in Burnsville, work in Plymouth. I've even looked on the Metro Transit just to see when you can punch in going from point A to point B, what routes you can take. No, it wasn't going to take me 2 or 3 hours to get to work on a bus. There wasn't even a possible way to get to work by taking a bus. So there's many more people like me that don't just live in the burbs and then go into the city for work. A lot of us go from one point to another. So trains is not the answer. Buses can be rerouted based on population change, business change. So we should stop trying to build it and they will come type concept on trains. Let's determine what the best routes are based on where the needs are. And it can be changed over time based on those needs. I don't want to stay up here too long. I don't want to dribble on here. I do want to thank everybody here for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. There is a lot of expense that goes into running a campaign. And becoming a candidate, a first-time candidate, is very similar to enlisting into the military. You hear all the war stories and all the stuff about boot camp, what it's going to be like. And you're like, okay. And you never know what it's really like until you get off that bus. And then you get that drill instructor. And it's not the same. You get the analogy, though. You don't know what it is to be a candidate until you actually experience it. And it's a lot of work. And I appreciate Julie for being there and supporting me. I know thank you. Good. I also want to thank everybody that's come on to my committee. Arlene, somebody said that they see you everywhere. They even know where you live because they see you at every event. I think that was that Representative Haltreich said that. I'm sorry. Anyway, and I thank you all for coming, and the committee members who are coming to the meetings and are there to volunteer. We do have a parade coming up on a week from today, the 4th of July parade in Eagan, the Fun Fest parade. If you're interested in walking with me in that parade, I'll be walking, shaking hands. We need people to hand out some literature and stickers, and if some kids want to come too, it'd be great. Throw some candy. It'll be a fun time. We'll have a truck with a trailer on it. It'll be decorated to some standards. So if you want to participate, want to help on that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Just let us know over there at the table. With that, I just want to thank you for all your time. For those who have contributed, thank you very much. I have my contact information pretty much on any literature I have. I mean, the big literature isn't printed yet, but on my website, you can email me, you can call me. Any way you want to contact me, you want to send me a tweet, I'll be here. I want to hear your concerns. I'm not just going to be somebody that gets up there and ignores the constituents. That's not what being a representative is all about. I want to hear from you. So if you're concerned about a certain issue or issues, I'm here for you. I'll listen. Thank you.
Wow, thanks, Brad. I hope I'm not that drill instructor. In fact, I'm not really even the campaign manager. I'm just sort of filling in for whoever it's going to be, like Dave or somebody. Right?
Well, I'm working on my new campaign. It's called Exit. Egan out of Metcalf.
The exit campaign. No, the T-shirts are ordered, everyone, so if anybody wants to walk in Brad's parade, they're ordered. They're going to be at my house on Friday. We'll have them. They're the bright red color, just like that sign over there. So they're red shirts with the white lettering, standard campaign T-shirts, so that's ready to go. He's really catching on fast, everyone. I think this is going to be a good race. I really am excited. I think he can beat Sandy. Sandy's a weak candidate. Nobody seemed to mention her. I'll do it. I'll be the attack dog. I think she's a very nice lady when you talk to her, and some of you have talked to Sandy. She goes to my church, actually. But there's really not much there to look at from a legislative standpoint. It's very bad. I mean, all of her votes are horrible. If we could have somebody that was half as good as her, and it wouldn't be Brad. Brad would be 10 times better. So we would take whatever we could get to get better than her. It's just how bad it is. But she continues to win, and it doesn't seem like it should be happening. We should be able to beat her. And I think Brad's going to work hard. I know he is. He's been really putting in the time already. And we're trying to give him as many hints as we can, and anybody that wants to help. The very first thing, besides the parade, is Julie and Brad did this massive 700-piece mailing, all by themselves, out of the house, and I mean, stuffing all the envelopes. So what would be great is if you want to take 10 names from that list and make some follow-up calls. I mean, that's all it takes. Sometimes people get this and they set it down on the desk, but boy, a follow-up call works. It really does. So if you've got the guts to make a few quick calls, these are our friends from our house district, as you all know. We've met him in caucuses, we've met him places, but he mailed it out to the whole caucus attendee list, I think it was, on the A side. So, I mean, kudos to them for doing that. So that's wonderful. But thank you very much for coming. Stick around as long as you like. We've got the room till 9.